Hello, this is Greg from SharePoint Maven, and in this video I will show you and explain to you step by step on how to create an attractive and functional intranet site, intranet portal in SharePoint Online. Now, before we proceed, just wanted to, mention a few things. So, first of all, when it comes to create an intranet site in SharePoint Online, there are many steps involved. All right, there are actually quite a few steps involved. And some steps will require you to have essentially admin rights to your SharePoint site, essentially will require you to be the site owner of the site. And some steps will require SharePoint admin role, something that probably only IT team within your organization has. I will obviously go over all of the steps in this tutorial. However, I do want to mention that in some cases you will not be able to perform and execute some of these steps and features simply because you would need special privileges and access to the SharePoint Admin Center, for example. The second thing that I wanted to mention is that what I'm about to show you in this video, I'm basing it on my experience while working with my clients. So just to give you a little bit of background, I actually have been building SharePoint-based intranet portals for over 10 years. So I work with many different clients, helping them create an intranet portal similar to what we're actually going to build and create together today. And most of my clients are small to medium-sized businesses. So obviously, depending on the size of your organization, you might have a little bit, maybe different requirements in terms of the content and even the complexity of your internet portal. So the intranet site, the SharePoint-based intranet site we are going to build together in this video, a typical use case for that kind of site would be a small to medium size businesses, anywhere from, maybe 20, 30 people to maybe several hundred or even few thousand users within the organization. And likewise, the content we're going to create and add to our intranet is based on this use case as well. All right, so let us now proceed with step number one, an extremely important step in the creation of SharePoint-based intranet portal. And that is, I think in step number one, you need to evaluate the possibilities and educate yourself in terms of what's possible in terms of a SharePoint intranet site design. When I start working with my clients, for example, obviously the first question and request is, well, can we see some examples? Can we see what's even possible in SharePoint? Many users, many clients migrating from Dropbox and Google Drive and file shares, right? The idea behind, the idea of the whole intranet is quite new to them as well. So let me provide you with a few tips on where you can evaluate some examples and check out what's possible in SharePoint out of the box. So the first recommendation I would like to make is to visit my blog, obviously. And if you navigate to my site, sharepointmaven.com, and click on blog, obviously this is where I maintain all my blog posts. But if you type in examples, one of the first, essentially blog posts you're going to see is this one. And I actually have written this pretty detailed blog post with some examples of what's possible, in terms of the internet design and SharePoint out of the box. I even have a quick video here you can check out. But the article contains essentially some images, some of which you're going to see today, in terms of what's possible in terms of layouts and web parts, different color schemes, and so on. So feel free to check it out, and definitely feel free to just see what's available right on this article. The second option that I highly recommend is Microsoft Lookbook. All right, if you go to lookbook.microsoft.com, you will essentially end up on this page. And what this is a free, pretty much catalog of all the available SharePoint site designs. And Microsoft really did a great job here. They organized them by different, categories and use cases. For example, if you are creating maybe just like in our case, the home page, right? They have some designs for you to evaluate and see what's possible. Likewise, if you are building, let's say, a department site, let me find one. They have a group, essentially a category here, and once again, you can evaluate what's possible in terms of the designs. All of those designs utilize SharePoint out-of-the-box capabilities. So what that means is that there is no custom coding or anything, any third-party themes. And you can actually, if you like a particular, if a particular template, you can actually install one in your environment as well. And essentially, this templates, they already come, once again, prepackaged with all these different layouts and images. That might be, pretty much a good starting point for you. But one reason why I especially like this is that if, again, the client, the organization is new to SharePoint, they never had SharePoint Intranet before, this is really a great catalog to check out and just to see what's possible in terms of the available, layouts and capabilities. You can obviously maybe conduct your own search and find some examples that exist out there on internet. One thing, I guess a bit of a warning with those is that if some of these images look extremely nice, but the reason for that is because they were probably created using some third-party theme or add-on on top of SharePoint. So what that means is that if you like a particular look and feel, you might need to work with that particular vendor to to install that theme in your environment, and of course that might mean extra licensing costs, etc. For the purpose of this video, and by the way, if you have been following my YouTube channel and my blog, I'm exclusively SharePoint out-of-the-box kind of guy. So what that means is that when I build, let's say, internet portals, internet sites for my clients, I only configure the SharePoint sites using out-of-the-box functionality. So that means I never utilize any custom coding or third-party themes or add-ons. And what we're going to be covering today, the internet site we're going to build today, is also going to be out of the box. All right, we're just going to literally configure the features that exist, the layouts, the web parts, the theme, everything everything I'm going to show you today utilizes strictly out-of-the-box functionality. So there is nothing else that you need to purchase or install or pay for to achieve a nice-looking internet site. All right, so let's now proceed with step number 2. And step number 2 is actually a decision we have to make. So when I work with my clients and help them build, a SharePoint Intranet site, the big decision we have to make is whether we're going to start from scratch, essentially from a blank, page, from a blank piece of paper, or we're going to proceed with one of the existing templates that we have. And let me tell you my opinion about that. I prefer the first option. I prefer, when I work with my clients, I prefer to start with a blank, piece of paper, if you will, and essentially customize the look and feel of the internet site or of the internet page based on the actual content that the client has. The second option, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, the second option, you can actually evaluate all of those different templates in SharePoint Lookbook, and you can install it in your tenant. So sometimes, if you like a particular template, particular look and feel, we can actually I can actually install it in your in your tenant. And but at that point, if first of all, if you a warning. So first of all, with this option, you do need to be a global admin. So this is not something, if you like a particular template, you will need to ask your IT department to install it for you. All right, you actually have to be a global Microsoft 365 admin. The other thing to be aware of is that when you install any of those lookbook templates, um, please be aware that when you install it in your environment, essentially you get everything that you see here on the template. All right, all those pages, all those images, all right, all of those placeholders, all of those links and sample documents, all of them will be installed on your site. And even though you might like the specific kind of layout, you are getting more than you probably wanted. All right. And what I'm trying to say here is that, in my opinion, it's always better off to start with a blank piece of paper, with a blank page, and add only the components that you need. Because one other thing to keep in mind, right? After we build this internet site, somebody will need to maintain it. And obviously, right, you need to have all this different content to support this, super nice look and feel. So my recommendation is, let's start with the minimum. Let's start with the actual content. If you just have news and events, right, and no videos, that's fine. Let's just start with what you have, and let's only add the web parts that we need to our site. All right. But again, I still want to leave this as an option for you if you like a particular design here. There is a way, for IT to install it in your environment, and maybe you can borrow some ideas from here and start from that particular, look and feel. For the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to start with a blank page. All right, so we're actually going to build a nice looking site, starting with a blank page and only adding the web parts that we need. All right, let's now proceed with the step number 3. So we made all the important decisions. Let's proceed with step number 3, and that is we are going to create a communication site that we will later customize to be our internet site. So let's proceed with that. Now, there are several ways to create a site in SharePoint. I'm going to show you the option that is available to the end users. All right. There is obviously an option to create a site from the SharePoint Admin Center. We will actually need to be in the Admin Center a little bit later in this video. But for now, let's proceed with the option that is available to the end users. So I clicked on SharePoint Start Page. All right, I clicked on that SharePoint icon here, and when you click on SharePoint icon, you actually end up on the page that looks like this. And this is called the SharePoint Start Page. This is the essentially the page where you get to see the sites you visited recently and the sites you follow. But the reason we landed on this page is because in the upper left-hand corner, you see Create a Site button. All right. So by the way, so by default, this button is available to everyone. All right. Everyone by default can create new sites. If you do not see this button, that means your IT department has disabled the capability for you to create sites, and you would need to contact them and request that they, create one from the admin center. All right. I will proceed with the assumption that you can create your own site, and let's click on the button. Now, what you're going to see next is this screen, and these are the two main site types that we have in SharePoint. We actually have more site types available to the SharePoint admins, but these are the two main ones available to the users. All right. And we have two choices: a team site and a communication site. Let me first explain to you the difference, and then we'll pick one. So let's start with the communication site. What is a communication site? You actually see it right now on the screen. A communication site is this white screen, no left-hand side navigation type of site. It's usually, a pretty, visually appealing type of site that is primarily used for one-way communication. So if your objective, if your use case is to share content with others, primarily in a one-way fashion, then you would need to create a communication site. So obviously the internet site, right? The main site, we want it to be accessible by everyone, right? The whole idea behind this main internet site is so that we can share news, announcements, links, and so on with the rest of our organization. So that's obviously a communication site. But you might have multiple communication sites within your organization, right? If you have, let's say, an HR department, and obviously there might be a private site for HR where they store, all the HR stuff, and it's only accessible by the HR team. But at the same time, right, HR might want to share employee handbooks and policies and benefits information. So in that case, they might also, again, the objective here is one-way communication. So here it is, a communication site. You might have a site for, I don't know, marketing, where they want to share with the rest of the organization, branding guidelines and logos. So there are, if you have, obviously, if you are a really small business, maybe you're not going to have that many communication sites. But if you have several hundred employees and have all these different departments who need to share, information with others, then you will create a communication site for this purpose. And the reason why we create all these different sites is because every time you have unique security in SharePoint, you will be better off creating a new site. Why? Because a site is where we manage security in SharePoint. So that was that. Now, the second site type is a team site template. So what is a team site? Let me navigate here. So if I use this HR example, human resources example, right? So I just showed to you the employee-facing site for HR, but obviously HR needs their own little, place and workspace that will only be accessible by the HR team. So in this case, they would need to create a team site. Now, team site, if you notice, it looks a bit different. A team site does have left-hand side navigation. And it's maybe not as visually appealing here because, again, the primary objective here is two-way collaboration. But the biggest difference between a team site and communication site is that, remember, with communication site, you just get a site. You just get this nice looking site, and that's about it. With the team site, you get more than just a site. If you notice in the upper right-hand corner here, it says it's a group. What does it mean? It means that behind the scenes, when I created this HR site, it created something called a Microsoft 365 group. And essentially, this is like a security group. It's a group, membership. In addition, when I created this HR team site, I also got several other elements that got created. First of all, obviously, when I created this team site, a site was created, but also in parallel, there was a group calendar created in Outlook. There was also a group email distribution created in Outlook for that same, membership for that same Microsoft 365 group. In addition, I also have a plan from Planner, which is a task management tool that is connected to the same, group membership. In addition, I also have a Microsoft team that is once again connected to that same, SharePoint site and Microsoft 365 group membership. So the bottom line is, when you create a team site, you get more than just a site. You get a site itself, a team site, a group membership, and all of these other elements I just listed. And the idea here is that essentially whoever is part of the group, it's all or nothing, all right? Whoever is part of the group, for example, Mary and I were part of this Microsoft 365 group, so that means we have access to the site, we have access to group calendar in Outlook, we have access to Planner and Microsoft Teams. I know this was pretty much a very long kind of overview of the difference between a team site and a communication site. I think the answer here on how we will proceed is pretty obvious, but the reason I mentioned this, the reason why I explain the differences is because too often I see users, my clients creating essentially an intranet site and utilizing a team site template instead of a communication site template. And this would be a wrong type of site to create for such a purpose for several reasons. All right. So the first one, obviously, if you notice on the team site, we have left-hand side navigation, and on communication sites, we don't. So we have a bit more real estate for all the content you want to put on your intranet. But the biggest reason is security. All right. When you create a team site, it's a site set up for collaboration, for two-way collaboration. So it's all based on membership. So a little bit later, towards the end of this tutorial, I will demonstrate on how to manage security for the Intranet portal. And with this, it becomes a bit harder. All right, with this group membership, it becomes a bit harder because the idea here is that everyone has add, edit, delete privileges. And on our communication site, on our intranet site, we want maybe select few people to be able to edit the content while everyone else within the organization will have read-only access, all right? And not to mention that, if let's say you use this type of site for the, for your intranet site, right? You have all this other stuff created behind the scenes, the calendar, the planner, obviously a Microsoft team potentially, and you really don't need any of this when we're talking about in the context of the, intranet portal. So the bottom line is you do want to, choose a communication site, type. So let's do that. And what you're going to see on the screen are the different templates you can choose from. So, and it starts with the basic one, and it shows you a few different scenarios, and you can even proceed with the blank one, all right, with the blank site. I think we will proceed with this one, so we do have, some elements to start with. But I wanted to explain to you what these are. So remember when I a little bit earlier showed you the lookbook? It was a pretty extensive, database, catalog of all these different SharePoint site templates. We have a few here. So for the lookbook, right? Remember you need your IT person to install those templates for you here. You don't need to. Right here, if you like a particular template, you can actually install it yourself. Now, yeah, I mean, they actually do have an example here for organization home. Let's check it out. We're not going to install it, but I still want to show it to you. But essentially, yeah, here's an example maybe of the template you would use for company intranet. Now, remember when you install one, just like with lookbook templates, it actually tells you what's going to be installed. It might install the stuff you don't necessarily need, all these additional pages and images. So once again, we already made a decision and we'll start from scratch. But I still wanted to show it to you as an option. By the way, if you decide to proceed with any of these templates, let's say you proceed with a blank one, and then you say, you know what, I want to maybe one of those templates, you will actually be able to overwrite it. And I will demonstrate it to you a little bit later how to do it once the site has been created. But for now, let's choose this standard one. It only has a few elements, but at least we'll see what the template looks like. So it's pretty basic, doesn't have a lot. We'll choose use template, and this is where you type in the name of your site. So we will give it this name. You can obviously give it whatever you want. Now, that's very important. The site has to have a unique URL. So obviously, I already have some sort of I guess site that has this URL. So you have to tweak it. Let's just call it something like this, all right? Corporate intranet, just so that we have something unique. By the way, you can change the site name later if you wish, just like that. Perfect. And yeah, let's click next. So the URL is all good now. Let's click next. and we'll accept the default language. That's the default language of your tenant. And let's wait a few seconds. What's actually happening, it is creating the site and applying that template, all right? It's, in our case, it's applying that basic template. And this is what the site, looks like out of the box, all right? When you install any of those templates, we chose that basic template. This is what it looks like. Obviously a communication site, so no left-hand side navigation. The navigation is actually right on top. And yeah, it added a few basic elements. We will actually customize some of them for our purpose today, but pretty basic looking communication site. And in the next, in the following steps, we will customize all of the look and feel and add additional web parts together. All right, speaking of web ports, let us now proceed with step number 4. And the step number 4 is to determine what types of content you would like to have on your internet site. Now, I always encourage my clients not to think too much in terms of web ports, but to think in terms of content they would like to add. Let me give you an example. The truth of the matter is that there are multiple ways to achieve the same thing in SharePoint. I always encourage that my clients come up with the specific types of content that they have. For example, news and events. All right, every internet needs to have news. Well, we will translate this later into the news web part. The second requirement might be links, right? Everyone has links. Well, guess what? There are actually several different ways on how to, how to add and display links in SharePoint. The next example could be of type of content, I guess, videos and images, or maybe display some sort of call to action. Long story short, don't be hung up too much on the kind of the actual web parts that exist in SharePoint. First and foremost, come up with the content and the different categories of content that you would like to add to your internet portal. So what you see here on the screen on the left-hand side are actually different types of content that you typically see on the internet portal. Now, I accumulated this list based obviously on my consulting experience. This is what I typically see my clients add to their company internet sites. Obviously, depending on the type of your organization, the size of your organization, maybe the industry you're in, and other factors, you might have a different mix of all these types of content. But for the purpose of this video, I decided to accumulate this list and put together this list. Once again, think of this as almost like the top 10 most frequent types of content that you see on internet portals. Now, what you see on the right side of this essentially different web parts, all right, different features that we have within SharePoint that will help us essentially display the content from the left-hand side. In some cases, there is kind of one-to-one relationship, right? For example, for the news and announcements, the obvious choice is news web part. But like I said before, in some cases, there are just multiple ways to display, the same kind of information. For example, for links, we have several web parts that we could use, and I'm going to demonstrate those, a little bit later in this tutorial. All right, so let's proceed with the first type of content, news and announcements. And just like you saw in a previous step, we are going to be utilizing the web part called news web part. Just to kind of demonstrate this in action, I have it here on my existing internet site. Here it is. All right. This is the web part that allows you to add news and announcements. So let me show you how it works. Now, because remember we installed that initial template, it already has several elements added for us. And we already have the news web part on our screen. I'm actually going to add a brand new one, so we'll pretty much start from scratch. But I did want to have this layout available to us in the as we proceed. So let's go ahead and edit the page and add the news web part. To edit the page, you need to click Edit in the upper right-hand corner. Your page goes into the edit mode. So now we can add essentially all the different web parts. Now, before we add the web part, I want to explain to you the structure of the page, and this is actually going to be super important to understand. So the page consists of sections and columns. A section is essentially this big area over here. This is where the web parts will reside. All right, this is where you can add your content. And a column is just a way to split the screen. Now, let me add another section here. By the way, you can have many sections. Look, I have to make a decision now how many columns my section will have. Now, here on this template, they went for one column layout. You know what? I want three columns, just like that. You see, it's a way for you to split the screen. And yeah, let's stay with this three column layout. I like three columns. Why? Because we can fit a lot of stuff here. And by the way, you can change it later as well. If you change your mind, you can change, the background colors of this. But you can also change, you see, back to two column or this layout and this layout. Let's stay with three columns. All right. Now that we split the sections into columns, now we are ready to add the web parts. And to add the web parts, it's not really obvious sometimes, but you have to click this little plus sign. And what you're going to see is a list of all out-of-the-box, web parts available in SharePoint. We will actually cover quite a few of them today in this video. Yeah, the one we want is called news. All right, we already have it, but I'm going to add it anyway. If you don't see it, by the way, in the list, just type in news and here it is. All right. And yeah, let's give it a name. And you know what? I'm going to move it here, just like that. By the way, at the end, once we will add all the web parts, we will do a bit of design, to make it pretty. So here it is. Here's my news web port. Let me republish it. That's good enough for now. Let me republish it. And yeah, we have our first web part added to the page. Let's proceed and add some announcements. So let me explain to you how this works. So when you click add, you see two options. You see news post and news link. What is the difference? A news link is for situations when you want to add a link to the announcement that already exists maybe somewhere on the web, maybe some blog article, maybe some newspaper article, some resource. So I'm actually going to grab this article I have on my blog, copy the URL, and paste it in here. And yeah, essentially what happens, the experience is quite similar to essentially what you see on Facebook or LinkedIn when you add essentially like an article. It extracts the photo, the title, some description. So all you need to do is just click the post button, and look at this. The article has been posted on our intranet within the news web port. So that was the news link. Let's now cover news post. Now, news post is for situations when you want to create your own announcement. And we are going to click news post, and you have several different templates to choose from. Microsoft recently added this made for email templates. These are just prepackaged templates with images and the specific layout for the email. But you know what? We're just creating a very basic announcement. So I'm going to click blank under standard, click create a post. And let's go ahead and create some announcements. So town hall uh, meeting soon, all right? And maybe we, want to add some text or whatever. You can customize the, by the way, the announcement. For example, I'm going to upload some image in here, and you will have that image appear in the header of the announcement, just like that. And yeah, you know what? This post that you're creating, you probably noticed that the experience is almost the same as if we, I edit in the main page. And the reason for that is because, and I will prove it to you in a second, is that every time you create a new announcement behind the scenes, another page is created. So you can once again split it into sections, columns, add whatever you want to add to your announcement. But you know what? Let's go ahead and publish this. So I'm going to click the post button. And what actually happens, it publishes, it adds the announcement to this news web port, and they will show up in the reverse chronological order. All right, so as you keep adding your announcements, they will show up in here in reverse chronological order. Okay, let me show you a few more things related to the news web part that are super important to understand. Let me click on gear icon, site contents. And where you want to click is the site pages library. All right, just like we have essentially a library called documents, this is where you store, typically your documents like Word, PDF, and Excels and so on. We have a special library just for pages called site pages. So let's click there. And what we are seeing here are all the pages that exist on your SharePoint site. Now, this homepage and this topic homepage, these are the two pages that got created when we created the site. All right, so essentially this are the default pages that we got created when we created a site. You might recognize those two. These are the two announcements that we just created. And remember what I said, for each and every announcement, news post that you create or news link, it creates essentially another page within your site pages library. Now, why is this important? Because as you keep adding announcements, on your intranet, right, all of them will be pages in here. So if you have like an announcement from a year ago, maybe you want to access it, right? It's not going to show up in the news web part because it's so old, but it will show up in here. So if you need to, find it, maybe, you want to delete it. It's almost like working with the, with the documents, all right? So you can access it from that site pages library. Let me show you one other thing. Let's go ahead and edit this web part. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to clean it up a little bit. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to delete all of this other stuff that got added. So we have a little bit more real estate to play with. Yeah, I clicked on the edit page and I'm going to click now on this pencil. This pencil, these are like advanced settings for this particular web part. And let me show you a few additional options here. So first of all, you can select a resource, the source, I guess, of your news post. So by default, we're adding all the news articles right on our site, but you can pull them from other sites. You can actually pull them from other sites. Now, I will actually come back in here a little bit later in this video once we turn our intranet into the hub. Why? Because there is also a way to roll up and aggregate news from the other sites within our intranet. Um, we can change the layout, all right? We can change the layout of our articles. And this is where you can control how many show up at any given point, on the within the news web part and what kind of information to display and so on. Finally, I like this option. So by default, the articles are organized in reverse chronological order. But you know what? I want this one to be on top of this one. Not a problem. You can just manually organize it. So just like that, you see, I can move this one here And I think I need to grab it here. Here we go. I just changed the order, as you can see. So just like that, I made some changes, all right? And every time you make a change, make sure to click the Republish button. So this way the changes will be live and visible to everyone, all right? So if you do not click the Republish button, maybe you just save it, right? The changes will only be seen by you. So if you want everyone else to see the changes you just made to the page, make sure to click Republish, button, and now the changes are live and everyone gets to see them. The next web port we're going to cover and add to our internet portal is the events web port. And the requirement is often to obviously add some sort of calendar, upcoming events to the internet site. So let's go ahead and take care of that. Once again, I'm editing the page. I'm going to click the plus sign, and the web port you want to add is called events, just like that. And let me just type in the name. All right, give it a name, and let's republish. Now, this is what it looks like. Let's go ahead and add a few events. All right. So maybe, what we're going to do, we're going to add that town hall meeting that we just announced. So, and we are going to add it on this date, at this time, doesn't really matter. You know what we can do here? We can add an image in here so it looks a little bit, nicer. Let's just do something like this. Here we go, and we click Save. All right, and let's add one more event. So here it is. It actually extracts the header image, so it looks a little bit more visually appealing. Let's add another event, and we are going to add, I don't know, some HR meeting. All right, and yeah, let's just do something like this. All right, just like that. Perfect. And let's not worry about the header. Click Save. All right. So I added a few events. All right, and they do show up on, obviously, you are only going to see the future events. You're not going to see the past events. You're only going to see the future ones. Now, let me show you what's actually happening behind the scenes. And actually, before we do that, one thing I want to mention is that what you see is what you get in terms of the layout, all right? A common requirement that I hear for internet portals is maybe to add like a monthly view, calendar where you get to see the whole week or, maybe the whole month. And it's more like a calendar, view. Unfortunately, this is not possible. What you see is what you get. This is the pretty much the only layout available. But let me show you what's happening behind the scenes. Once again, we're going to go to gear icon site contents. And right next to site pages, we have this a list called events. And look, two events that we just created. Let's click and look what we have here. This is the same calendar we just created on the home page, and you might recognize all those events we just added. And this is the monthly view that we wanted. However, obviously, it looks a bit different. You probably noticed, right? It doesn't look quite as polished as the other one. And the reason for that is because, so what this is actually a SharePoint calendar we had for many, many years. We actually had it in much older versions of SharePoint. Uh, However, the problem is that unfortunately Microsoft never really modernized this particular kind of view. All right. We call this still kind of a classic view. So while you will be able to view the upcoming list of events on the page itself, and it looks okay, unfortunately, right, this classic view, what you see is what you get. And yeah, I just showed it to you so at least you're aware what's happening behind the scenes. But this is not really a kind of a nice user experience here. It's not even easy. we don't get to see the logo, we don't get to see the same kind of navigation, very hard to get back here. So long story short, what you see is what you get in terms of kind of the capabilities. One other limitation I want to mention is that this is a SharePoint-based calendar. All right, it does not interface with Outlook. All right, sometimes there is this requirement to interface with Outlook. Unfortunately, this does not interface with Outlook at all. This is just strictly a SharePoint-based calendar, and essentially everything you manage here in terms of events, events, they're just staying in SharePoint. Let me show you one other thing related to this web part. So I added the page. Just like with news, I click on the pencil icon. And again, we have several options to choose from. We can choose the source. And we can, just like with news, we can actually aggregate events from other sites as well. All right, so that's a possibility. And then, yeah, you can say how many events to show. Maybe if you have too many events, maybe I just want the next few weeks. So yeah, there are some, I guess, options available here. But other than that, yeah, once again, we made some changes. Don't forget to republish. Once you republish, it's like going live, and everyone who has access to the site will have access and be able to see, your changes right away. All right, so the next functionality, the next requirement we want to satisfy, we want to be able to add links to our portal. This could be links to pretty much internal and external resources, different pages, maybe specific documents, some external articles and external resources. So anything with the URL, we can add to our Intranet portal. So let me now show you a few ways to achieve this. So this time I'm actually going to show you two web parts that might suit our purpose. So the first web part I want to show you is the hero web part. That's what it's called, the hero web part. And we actually have it right here already on the screen. A majority of the templates that you install from Microsoft, right, when you create a site, I remember we chose this basic template. Even that basic one already had that hero web part, and this is what it is. Essentially, what it is, it takes a bit of real estate, but essentially it's a number of tiles with images and links behind them. So each of those tiles we can actually upload our own image and put essentially any type of URL behind it. So when users click on a given tile, they will essentially open up that URL. So we already have this on our pages on our page, but just in case if you don't, let me show you what it's called. So let's go ahead and add that web part. It's actually once again called hero web part, all right? So in case if you don't see it on your page, just go ahead and type it in, and as you can see, here it is. But we already have one. So let's go ahead and customize this one, all right? So yeah, once you add the web part to your page, essentially you have all these different choices. So first of all, what I want to show you, let me actually click on this pencil icon. You can actually change the number of tiles, all right? The minimum is 1, the maximum is 5. You can change it to 3, you can change it to 2. You know what? Let's just keep it simple. We'll just leave it as 2. All right. And you can also change the layout. So the tiles is the default one, but you can do those layers. All right. It will essentially follow like this zigzag, type of a pattern, image and text, and then image and text and so on. But it will take a bit of, vertical real estate. So let's keep it simple, just 2 tiles on this level. And once you modify this, at this point, we are ready to essentially change our images and links. So then you would just click on a given tile and click the pencil icon over here. And you can customize. So this is where you would put the URL. This is where you will, give it some text. You know what? Let's just, once again, I'll use my article again for URL, just like that. And yeah, you can paste any URL that you wish over here. Perfect. All right. And then, yeah, let's change the background image. It could be just a color block if you want, but let's just upload some sort of image. Or you know what, to save time, we'll just use one of the stock images, just like that. Perfect. And then we can, of course, change this text right here. So we'll just say, I don't know, contact list or something, right? Maybe it's a contact list that we created. And let me show you another thing you can customize here. If you scroll down under options, this is optional, but we can also add this little call to action. All right. So maybe maybe you want to put another kind of URL in here. Maybe it's going to be the same one, but you can show or hide it if you wish. And then likewise, we're going to click on this other tile. Let's just keep it simple. I'm going to, just change a background image to something else. And we'll just use something else in here. All right, this looks good. Perfect. All right, just like that. All right, and once again, you can change the title. And yeah, at this point, we made all the changes we wanted to make and just click republish. And once again, once we republished, everyone gets to see the changes we just made. So now when the users, essentially click on the link, as you can see, they go directly to that source, to that particular URL. There is actually one other little trick I'll show you. We can actually display videos within the hero web part, but I'll show it to you a little bit later in this tutorial once we get to the video videos section. So obviously this hero web part is a pretty popular option because it looks really nice, right? And it's kind of visually appealing. Now, the truth of the matter is, though, it does take a bit of real estate, all right? It does take a bit of real estate, majority of the page. So another option for you, if you, let's say, have, I don't know, 10, 8, 10 links or so, right? The limit is 5 here. So if you have like quite a few links, the other option for you would be to utilize the quick links web part. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So I edit the page again, click the plus sign, and the web part you want to use is right here. All right, it's one of the most popular web parts. It's called Quick Links. And yeah, we'll just give it a name. And essentially, it allows you to add links to anything you want, all right? You can link to any other pages within your site. In our case, you know what? I'm going to link to the website, to our website. So I'm going to paste the URL, click add, and yeah, essentially we can now change the text, and then I will show you some additional configuration options. All right. So by the way, we can change the, you can upload your own icon, but you know what? I'm going to go with one of the stock ones that exist. All right. Just like that. Perfect. And let me show you a few additional options that exist here. So what I really like about the quick links is that there are lots of different configuration options, just like with news and events. So you click on the pencil icon, and there are all these different styles available, you see. So you can really, change it and make it as pretty as you wish. So I like this style, and I have some additional settings here, just like that. All right. So yeah, I mean, this is another way for you to add. Let's just add another one just so that we have something to play with. I'm just going to link to one of the pages, just so that we have it in here. All right. And yeah, just like that. I'm going to maybe we'll say this policies we are linking to. All right, just like that. Here we go. And yeah, and you can move stuff around. And once again, I made some changes and click, republish. So if you have several links, you can obviously utilize the quick links web part. By the way, you're not limited to just one quick links web part, right? If let's say you want to maybe create another category and say I want to organize HR links in here or something, right? These are like company links, this HR links. Just go ahead and add multiple quick links web part to your page. All right. So at this point, I'm going to discard the changes. So here we go. Again, two great options in my opinion. Hero web port and quick links web port, and both allow for some great customization options. All right, so the next type of content that I often see on internet portals is weather. All right, and no matter where we live, we need to know what the weather is like, if it's sunny, if it's raining, and this is actually great, especially if you have several different offices in various locations, over the all over the country, all over the world. So let's go ahead and add the weather widget. That's actually what it's called, the weather web part. So I'm going to click edit. You know what I'm going to do? We need another section. All right. So let's add another section, 3 columns. And let's add weather in here. So you click the plus sign, and that's exactly what it's called. And yeah, you just type in, the name, and this is where you specify the location of your office, for example. All right, so just like that, and you can add multiple. All right, you can add, multiple, offices that you might have. All right, and let's add one more. All right, just like that. So these are the 3 offices that we have. And yeah, I mean, what you see is what you get. There are not that many options available here. You can just either set it to Celsius or Fahrenheit. All right, so you have to pick one. However, let me show you how this works. So um, you actually have to pick one. All right, you have to pick one. So let's say you have obviously an office in US, and then you have an office in Europe. But you have to pick one, all right? So I picked Fahrenheit. But let's say I'm the user who logged in from from UK, for example, right? Or from European Union, or Canada, and obviously I want to see it in Celsius. So not a problem at all. Um, the user can just do this, you see, just like that. You see, click in here. It's not going to magically, all right, let's say I log in from another country, it's not going to magically show it to me in Celsius. But once the user clicks here, that's what the display will be, and it will change it for all the locations. Other than that, I mean, essentially what you see is what you get. It extracts, I guess, the information, feeds the information, I should say, from, Microsoft Weather. But once again, a nice and simple widget, and probably unique to the internet sites, right? You probably don't see those often on, other department sites or, team sites. Probably, definitely a unique web part for your SharePoint Intranet. The next web part I want to demonstrate to you is actually kind of similar to this weather web part. But let me first mention maybe the requirement that we're trying to satisfy here. So once again, this use case will probably be applicable to organizations that have offices all over the country, all over the world. There is always a need to know kind of the current time in that particular office, display the current time. So luckily we have a web part for that. And what we want to add to the page is this one. So I'm editing the page, plus sign, and the web part that's actually right next to that weather web part. It's called world clock. And this is where you can specify, our offices or whatever, our locations, just like that. And again, it works kind of the same way as the weather. You just have to pretty much specify the, location. All right, so just like that. And let's add one more so we have something to play with. Now, before I click the republish, just want to show you there are not that many, I guess, options here, but you can, alter the format, all right, in terms of the display. And I guess we can also show the day of the week or, hide it. Again, not, too many options, but just a few. And yeah, you can just add multiple locations in here. And after we're done, just make sure to click the republish button. So yeah, I mean, I always see this web part being used in organizations with multiple offices. As a matter of fact, I actually see this, widget, this web part, quite useful, not just on the intranet landing pages, but also even on project, team sites, right, when you have team all over the place. The next web part I'm going to show you will help us display the physical address that you have. Now, so essentially, how you can, access, Google Maps. We actually have a way to embed Bing Maps. All right, the Microsoft's essentially version of the map application. And the way it works, you just specify the address and it inserts a little map for that particular address. Let me first show you how to add it, and then I'll provide you with a few use cases for that web part. So once again, we click the edit button, a little plus sign, and yeah, it's that's what it's called, Bing Maps. And this is where you pretty much specify the address of the office maybe that you have. So let's choose. Obviously, this is the one I think I'm looking for, just like that. All right, perfect. And you can zoom in here, zoom out. Let me show you a few options that exist here. So first of all, you can, have different styles of, I guess, maps, just like that. And then you can also kind of specify, right, maybe, yeah, I want to call it our office, all right, or, what headquarters, right, HQ, all right, just like that. So here we go. It will show like a little pen with the, for that particular, let's zoom in a little bit, I guess, to make it a little bit more useful, just like that. And yeah, we can just like that, type in the title and click republish. Now, let me tell you a few use cases. So first of all, I think it's just a great way to kind of, all right, spice up the Intranet landing page. But I've also worked, with several clients, and they, for example, they have, offices once again all over the place. I had, one client, and they were a manufacturing facility, and actually they owned a number of different facilities. So what we ended up doing is that was actually we created a separate page just with all these different addresses, and maps embedded. So the users could easily, find the, the address and contact information for that address and so on. So definitely a nice way to obviously add a little bit more, I guess, spice and color to your Intranet landing page. The next part is also a nice way to make your Intranet a little bit more, functional And the requirement is to maybe display some sort of deadline. It could be maybe some human resources related deadline, right? Everyone needs to essentially sign up for some sort of benefits, benefits enrollment deadline, or maybe you want everyone to submit some sort of form, right, and fill out some sort of employee-related form or something. And again, there is a particular, certain date and time it has to be completed by. So for this purpose, we are going to add a web part called countdown timer web part. Let me actually show you what it looks like. I actually have it on one of my department sites here. So yeah, here is a great use case. I have this human resources department site, and everyone needs to be aware of this particular deadline. So I'll show you how to add it. It's actually quite a nice web part. So we click the edit button once again. I'm going to add yet another 3 section. We will actually go ahead and change it and change all of the stuff around to make it a little bit more pretty. But for now, let me go ahead and add the web part. That's exactly what it's called, countdown timer. And yeah, we want everyone to know to, let's make it a little bit more realistic. Just like that, benefits. Everyone needs to enroll. And you can provide some description. Please submit a form, all right, or something like that. And yeah, let's click the pencil icon. So we have a few options here. So first of all, we can set the date, all right, that the clock will count towards. So let's just do this. And you can even specify the time, and then we can change the display. Let's leave it alone. But the most important area is over here, call to action. So we don't want our users just to see this clock, right? We want them to do something. So what you can do is enable this call to action, and what you can do over here is maybe specify. Let's say maybe there is some form, right? You want them to fill out, so you can actually specify the URL of this form. So we'll just say this is the call for action. And for URL, let's pretend I have some sort of URL. I'll just copy this one, doesn't really matter, just like that. And yeah, another thing you can do is add a background image. All right, again, so it doesn't look that plain. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go for one of those stock images displaying the clock, all right, or maybe some benefits or whatever. And you can change, some settings and the brightness and all that stuff. But let's leave it alone. And I'm going to republish it now. And that's essentially what it looks like. So once again, the clock, some description, and when users click, it goes in this particular case to this particular URL. Now let me show you something else that's really cool about this countdown timer web part. It's not just the countdown timer, even though that's what the name says. It can also count up. And let me first show you how it works. So you actually can set the date in the past, not in the future. All right. And let's just say, we set up this date. And yeah, essentially it's counting the time up now. Let me tell you the use case. Once again, I actually had a manufacturing client, and they wanted to display the certain number of days, from the last major incident, I guess, at the manufacturing facility, right? So yeah, they wanted to display this, essentially clock, the count up timer, I guess. Um, and that's what we did. So it was a nice, addition to the homepage of the intranet site. Web part I'm about to show you is a kind of, I guess, related to this. So sometimes maybe once again you have some sort of form you want users to fill out, and in theory you can maybe utilize right, one of those other web parts I have already shown you. In theory, we could link the form from maybe this hero web part, or maybe utilize the quick links. But there is another option. maybe to highlight to catch users' attention. So essentially, what you want to do is the requirement is you want to add call to action, and the web part is actually called exactly the same, call to action. So let's go ahead and take care of that. I'm going to click the plus sign, and that's exactly what it's called, call to action. So you have a little bit more, right? It's not just kind of a small button. It's a little bit more information you can input in here. So let's click the pencil icon. And yeah, we can, this is the button. So you can actually configure quite a few things here. You can configure this button and then also this text, all right? So let me show you both. So for the button, we are going to say submit, right? That's the call to action. For the URL, once again, let's pretend we are filling out it with the URL of the form. All right, we can set up the proper alignment. All right, and then we can also add this text, maybe please submit the form. All right, just like that. And then another thing we can do, we can change the background image, all right, in here. So that's really cool. And again, I'm just going to go with one of the existing images. All right, let's pick this one. All right, just like that. All right. So quite a nice, kind of right and friendly user experience. In my opinion, looks pretty. Let's republish it. And again, you kind of have this, it's kind of, I guess you get something in between the quick links and the hero web port, but something that's dedicated to this particular, call to action and something that's a little bit more, I guess, attractive. The next requirement that we typically have for the SharePoint Intranet portals is the ability to display multiple images. Typically, the use case would be to let's say, display images from the last company party or some sort of event. So the idea is that you maintain a number of this, let's say, folders with images, and you want to display them and make them presentable to your employees. So let me show you a few ways to achieve this. So let me do this. You know what we are going to do first? We are going to get our images to SharePoint first. So I happen to have some, images or photos here right on my computer, right on my desktop, but we need to get them first into SharePoint. And I'll explain to you why you will actually see it in a second. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new document library. A document library is essentially like a filing cabinet, right? Where you would store, regular documents, photos, videos, whatever you want. In our case, I want to have a dedicated library for photos. So I'm going to create a blank library, and I'm actually going to call it just like that, all right, photos. And I'm going to create it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag this 4 images that I have in here. You know what I'm actually going to do first? Let's organize them by folders, right? You typically would probably have albums of some sort, right? So you want maybe to, yeah, let's call it just like that, all right? Some sort of event maybe. All right, perfect. So I want to upload those images in here just like that. So I just drag and drop. You will actually see it in a second. You can upload images on the fly as well, but you will actually see it in a second why this was super important. So now let's go back to our main page, and I'm going to click the edit button. And let's go ahead and add an image here. So there are 2 web parts available to you if you want to embed images. If you just have a single image, there is this web part, and you either upload the image or choose one of the stock images, whatever you want. But in our case, we have multiple images. So the web part you want to use is called image gallery. all right, right next to image gallery. And there are a couple of options available here. So first of all, you can, pretty much select images, all right, and upload them on the fly. But we already remember we did our homework, and there is another option. It says dynamically display images from a document library. So the idea is that you just organize your images in that library and they will be automatically displayed within this image gallery. So I chose this option. Now I am been asked to choose the library. We have several libraries that exist on our site. This is the one I just created. Now, if you notice, there are no images appearing yet. Why? Because remember I organized them in folders, right? And you need to check this checkbox right here, include subfolders. All right, so if I didn't have any folders, just a bunch of images, then they would be displayed automatically. But because they are stored inside of the folders, I need to check this checkbox. And what you see is what you get. I mean, there are all these different styles that exist. Now, my favorite one, so yeah, you can see and test them out. My favorite one is this carousel one. Why? Because it can actually cycle through the various images automatically that you have. So if I choose this option, I can enable this toggle, and every few seconds or so it will cycle through automatically. So let's go ahead and republish. And you probably already saw that. I mean, every few seconds you can control how many it will cycle through automatically, through those images that you have in here. So yeah, this is an excellent web port. Let me just turn off that carousel thing. All right, and yeah, this is an amazing. You can control how many to display on your page. So yeah, I mean, the idea here is that you just keep dropping new images into that library that we created, and they will be automatically rendered on your screen. The next requirement or type of content that we will add to our Intranet portal is a video. All right, and this is quite a common requirement. Let me give you a few use cases. Maybe you want recorded a video, welcome from CEO, all right, or maybe a recording of the latest meeting with the employees or town hall, right? It's a great way to kind of make your intranet a little bit more, functional and pretty. There are actually quite a few ways to add videos to the intranet site. So let me show you a few of these options. So what we are going to do first is upload the videos to SharePoint, just like we did with photos, all right? And once again, you will see a little bit later why. So I'm going to add yet another library, and this one will store videos, all right? And I'm going to create it. And once again, I will go ahead and upload some videos that I have here, just like that. All right. Now, while it's uploading, there are actually a few ways to, to view the videos on the intranet page. We can view a single video. We can view multiple videos. And we can also, create a playlist similar to, what you probably have seen on YouTube channels, right? You have playlists organized by various, categories. So that's exactly what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you all three options, and then at the end, I will show you one more option, kind of a bonus option. We can actually embed a video right into the Hero web port that I covered earlier, so I'll show you that trick as well. So here they are. All the videos have been uploaded, and let's proceed. Let me show you how to add the videos to your page. It's actually quite a nice experience. So what we're going to do is click the edit button, and I'm going to move this web port over here for now. Uh, let's click the plus sign. The web port you want to use is called Stream. By the way, if you have a YouTube video, all right, video somewhere on YouTube, you can actually provide the URL and it will play the YouTube video right on your page. So that's an option as well, all right? But in our case, we have the videos already on our SharePoint site. So this is the web part we're going to use. And yeah, let's just, call it videos, all right? And yeah, you have to choose the source. Now, we can play a single video, so let's choose single. And yeah, it offers me actually, I can actually select one of the recent ones, but I can also go to this folder and I can add a specific video that I have. And essentially, it will be this nice player experience. Let me publish it quickly just so that you can see the experience. It's a very, very nice experience. I click the play button and it plays the video right within the page. All right, and it's almost like YouTube style, right? You can forward, go back, pause it, like and comment. So it's a very very nice user experience. But in our case, we want to display multiple videos, and we click the edit button, and I'm going to go this time for a folder. Remember, we uploaded all those videos into that library. So just like that, I'm going to select, they're here, remember? I'm going to say, select. And I can change the style, I guess, how they're presented, how many videos to show. Let's keep it as is. And yeah, I'm going to republish it now. So look, we have multiple videos. You see, I can play them once again right in here, and there are multiple videos appearing on the page. Now, obviously, the reason why it looks that small is because I restricted this web part into this third column that we have. So obviously, if I want a little bit different, but let's do this. Let's move this over here. All right, actually, I probably need to select the column first, and let's move it over here. So look what the experience is here, all right? We have multiple videos. Let's republish it. And yeah, you select one, you play it, and it's appearing in this much larger window. So super nice, once again, experience. And I'm playing the videos. You don't need to do any extra clicks. There are no separate windows, being open. Everything is played right within the browser, right on the page. Let me show you one more trick. It might or might not be relevant, to be honest, to the intranet, right? But I'll still show it to you. But you can also create playlists, all right? And the way it works is that you click the new option. So what we have to do, we actually have to create a playlist using the list app that we have. All right, a list app is the app that allows you to build lists like a contact list or an issues log or travel request log, stuff like that. But one of the templates that exist is something called playlist. And essentially, what it's doing, it's going to create a nice user experience and create links to the videos that you have on your site. So I'm going to choose this playlist template. Let's leave it the name as is. I'm going to click, create. And yeah, it's empty, obviously, by default. We need to add our videos. So we will need to choose our site. And let me just choose the different library, right? We have to browse to the videos library. And here are the 3 videos I want to create a playlist for. And just like that, the videos are, in the playlist. All right. And the use case for this could be if, let's say, there is a series of, I don't know, last 5, maybe some training videos. All right. You want the users to see, a series of training videos, or maybe you recorded the last 5 company-wide, meetings or something, all right, Teams meetings. So, and you want the users to watch them all. So, yeah, essentially what you can do is, maybe create this list and maybe even display it on the home page or link to it. But that's essentially the idea. And as users click on all these different videos, once again, they pretty much, like on YouTube, they have a playlist that they can cycle through. So I promised to also show you one more trick. We can actually embed a video into the hero web part. It's not obvious, how to do it, but let me show you the trick. So what you need to do first, you need to navigate to your video, and let's just say I want this particular video to be displayed in the hero web part. You need to copy the link. All right, so you copy the link to that particular video. Now, by default, it generates, people in your organization can edit. Yeah, we don't want anyone to edit this video, so let's just select view, just like that. So I copied the link, and then you navigate to the hero web part. Let's click edit, and let's do this. Let's make it 3 tiles. All right, let's add one more tile. I want my video in here, and I'm going to click the pencil icon. And when you supply, it says select a link to a document or page. In our case, it's a link to the video. So we are going to paste the link to that video, just like that. Click add. And then what you have to do, very, very important. So by default, we had this, kind of stock image in here. On the background image, make sure instead of custom image to proceed with auto selected image. All right. Essentially, it will grab a screenshot from the video. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, we now have the video with the play button. Let's go ahead and republish it. And this is the user experience. All right, you just click play, and what happens, the video becomes much, much larger, right? It takes over the screen, so it's a super nice user experience. So believe it or not, we just covered all of those 10 types of content and the respective web parts that would help us satisfy those specific requirements. So what I would like to do now is show you how to customize this page. Now that we added all of these elements, we kind of need to make it pretty and functional and change the layout. So what I'm about to show you is how to adjust the look and feel of the page. So let me click the edit button. And once again, the page is in the edit mode. So the first thing I like to do is get rid of this extra white space. All right, we just have way too much, white space. So let me show you a trick on how to do this. What you need to do is click the plus sign, and you're going to click on vertical section. The vertical section, if I click on this, it will pretty much add almost like a fourth column, all right? You see 3 is the max we can get here, but it will actually add an extra column on the right. Now, with that being said, you can probably see that it's kind of grayed out. We cannot add this vertical section. Why? The reason for this is because on the same page, we cannot have both the vertical section and the full width section. And what is a full width section? Right here. You see how this hero web port, it pretty much takes over all of the space from left to right. All right, no white space on the sides. That's because when it was added, essentially to the page, it utilizes not a one column layout, but a full width layout. And when you add a new, let's say again, section, you see I can add another full width section over here. All right, and essentially whatever I add here will only, will essentially take over the whole screen. Now, the problem with this is that there are only a few web ports we can add here that will really, take over the full width. The image, the hero web part, and the countdown timer that we already covered. All right. So how do we get around this issue? Because I do want an extra column on the side. Well, here's the trick. What you need to do is click the plus sign, and instead of full width, we're going to add one column, essentially one column, section. And I'm going to drag this hero web part. You see how now instead of full width, it has this white space on the sides because it's a different, it's a one column, not a full width, section. Now that I did this, and we need to delete this, right? We remember we cannot have both. You see, it's still grayed out. Now I'm going to delete it. And let's try this again now. Plus, look at this. Now we can add a vertical section. You see? So just like that. All right. And essentially we have this extra section on the right-hand side. And what we can do, let's add some color to it. So we click this little pencil icon, and we can add one of the theme colors, or maybe we can add one of those new section backgrounds that we now have. So let's, for example, choose, yeah, let's stay with this one, for example, all right? And you know what I'm going to do? Let's add some of the components. Let's add some of this web parts in here. So I'm going to add my links in here. Maybe we want to add the weather, all right? Just like that. You can, that's the beauty. You can drag and drop, and change the layouts and everything on the fly. So let's move this up. All right. And what else can we do? I guess, maybe what we will do here is another trick. We don't need to stick to one column layout. Let's see what it will look like with this. Yeah, let's get a little bit more area in here. So we'll maybe move some important stuff in here. You know what? The news are important. All right. And then we might as well just, again, just move all of this stuff in here. All right. Again, as you add your content, as you maybe have a little bit more news than events, I mean, you will need to maybe move some of the stuff around. You know what? Let's leave it like this. Let's do something else. We are going to add some color to maybe this, to this maybe section as well. And you know what? We'll maybe add some color to this section. All right. Just like that. All right. And yeah, let's republish. Let's just see what we currently have. Yeah, not bad, I think. So yeah, essentially, if you notice, I just because I utilized this multiple column layout, we added this vertical section. We also added some color to them. I mean, it definitely looks much more attractive and definitely not as much, white space, as it used to be. The next step, now that we customize the main page, the next step we have to apply the theme to our site. And essentially the theme, so the everything we did so far, right, was on those pages, essentially everything below this line, right? So we were able to control, the layouts, the web parts, the colors, but we also have this kind of, header area over here. And we also essentially have all this, main colors like the buttons and everything. So those are controlled by the theme. How do we change the theme? Let me show you. There are actually a few options available to us here. You click on the gear icon, change the look, theme. And you have to choose one of those built-in themes. So depending on your corporate, brand, right? Your branding guidelines, you might choose one of those themes. Now, if you notice, as I change the, if as I choose the theme in here, right, some of the colors, do adjust. All right, essentially this a theme color, so my buttons have changed, for example. All right, so as you change all of this, change to these different themes, you will see the changes, kind of been made immediately on your site, on your page. Now, All of those themes that you see here, they're kind of were created by Microsoft, all right? But if you, let's say, have your own corporate, branding guidelines, let's say you do your color, your main brand, primary color is red, but it's a different shade of red, all right? You have very, very specific, tone of red, for example. In this particular case, what you can do, you can actually create your own corporate theme and install it in your environment. You see how here I have, just above from Microsoft, it says from your organization. This is actually a custom theme that I created based on my company's corporate, guidelines. Now, how do you install this theme? This is actually one of the steps that where you will require assistance from your IT department, and the reason is because you actually need to install it through PowerShell. All right, so there are a few, essentially scripts that your IT will need to run. But with that being said, so I'm not going to show you. All the necessary steps, but I'll show you what needs to occur in order to install this custom theme. So what you need to do, and actually, you know what? I think what would be best if you go to my blog, because I actually wrote a pretty detailed blog post on the article. And here it is. All right, how to configure and apply a custom theme in SharePoint Online. And essentially, it provides step-by-step instructions. But let me show you how that works. Essentially, what you need to do first is, and you can follow the URL and instructions in here. There is this site that Microsoft created where you set up your primary, colors. All right, so you actually specify the exact hex, number of your primary color. All right, let's just say this is it right here, for example. All right, just like that. And essentially, you will see how it will render. You see some examples here. You will kind of get to see what it might look like. And yeah, it gives you a check here if you pass, if you have any accessibility issues. All right, it has to be yeah, a set contrast between all these different colors. And yeah, you can play with some of this different I guess color palettes here. All right, so you can set some of these custom ones here, and once again you will get to see what the end result will be when you do so. But in any case, long story short, you set up your primary color here, you adjust it as necessary, and once you are happy with the result, you will need to click export, export theme, and this PowerShell tab, and you will need to copy this, all of this into a notepad or something. All right, so just copy this into notepad, and once that occurs, essentially you hand it off to your IT person. And at this point, there is a bit of PowerShell that your IT person will need to run, and essentially embed that that code that you copied, and yeah, and then add it to your environment, and provide with a name. As you can see, this is actually the theme that you just saw on my SharePoint Intranet site. So once it's all, so just a few steps, nothing super complicated here, but once it's all said and done, once the theme is installed, you will then see it under this from your organization. And you can install multiple themes as well. While we're here, I want to show you one more thing. Remember, when we created this site in the very beginning, right, I kind of went for the very basic template. But let's just say you started creating your, your intranet and started adding all these modules, and then you change your mind, and maybe you do want to proceed with one of those Microsoft templates. Not a problem at all. At this point, you will need to click the gear icon, apply a site template, and you're going to see that same screen that you saw in the beginning. So if you change your mind, just go ahead and install the template. Now, very important, it's not going to delete what you did. All right, so all this page we just customized, it's not going to be deleted, but it's going to be kind of sitting in the background. It's still going to reside in your site pages library. However, what's going to happen? All the additional, pages will be installed. Essentially, this new page from the template will become your new your new home page. And once again, your page, this particular page will kind of still reside in the site pages library in case if you want to go back to it. But long story short, if at some point you realize you really want one of those templates, you can easily install it, in your environment. The next step that we have to do also has to do with a bit of design. We're going to update this header area, specifically the logo. All right. So let me show you how to do that. To upload the logo, you click on the gear icon, change the look, and yeah, we can. Or this is where we change the theme. All right. But you know what? Let's change the header now. And there are a few options available here, so you can actually go for different styles of your header, all right? By the way, you can also go for the extended header, and what's cool about this option, you can actually upload an image here, going all the way from the left to all the way on the right. But you know what? Let's just stay with the standard one, I guess, and let's add some color to it. So I'm going to pick this one. By the way, these are the colors that are generated from the theme. All right. So as you set up your primary color, right, all the other ones are kind of generated from the theme. So this is the one we're going to use. And this is where you upload the logo. And let's navigate to the logo that I have, just like that. And here it is. The logo goes into the left-hand side, and it does actually serve the purpose. When you click on the logo, it pretty much navigates back. So no matter where you are, let's say I'm in this library right now. If you click on the logo, it goes back to the home page. Let me show you one more thing. Remember when I created the site, I kind of had to give this long name because of the URL. I'm going to change it, and you can change the name of the site under gear icon, site information, and let's just make it like that, nice and short, and click save, and here it is. Okay, so now that we pretty much completed the design, we built out the pages, we chose the theme, we uploaded the logo, so now let's take care of permissions. All right. At this point, you are the only one, right? If you created the site, you are the only one who has access to the site. And we obviously, the whole idea behind this, intranet home site is that we want everyone within our organization to be able to access it on a read-only basis. So let me show you how to do that. So to manage permissions in the operating corner, so you can either click on Site Access, all right, or gear icon Site Permissions, doesn't matter. It's kind of almost the same thing. And what you're going to see are the three security groups. These are SharePoint security groups. We have visitors, members, and owners. Visitors are read-only people. Essentially, we want everyone here, right? We want everyone from our organization to be in visitors group. The only thing that visitors can do is read and download, nothing else. Members are add, edit, delete people, all right? So whoever add as a member, they will be able to add, edit, delete anything on the site. News, links, events, pages, and so on. And then owners, that's you, right? Somebody with full control, somebody who can delete a site if they want to. So here's a use case. Let's say I am in charge of HR or marketing communications, and I'm the owner of this main intranet site. At the same time, my colleague Mary, all right, needs to help me with some of those, content and announcements. So I want her to be in here. At the same time, I want everyone within my organization to be here, right? They're going to be the visitors. So let's take care of that. You click Share Site, and you just start typing in the user's name. So here we go. I am inviting Mary. And these are the three permission levels that we have. I want Mary to be the editor. So let's see what happens to Mary. She is now inside of this members group. So Mary can now assist me with the content. At the same time, I want everyone to be the visitor. All right, and because obviously this is the whole objective of the site. You click share, and you can obviously type in the names again, but let's say you have a few hundred people, just type in everyone. Everyone except external users is a default group that exists. All right, it's not a group UIT created or I created. It's a group that Microsoft created for us. And essentially, it automatically includes everyone within your organization. So as people come and go, UIT, creates Microsoft 365 accounts for them. They automatically become part of this organization, of this security group. Well, and the organization, all right? So it's a quick way for you to add everyone to your site with one click. And it's smart enough not to send an email, so don't worry about that, even if you leave it on, but let's uncheck it. And yeah, once again, three permission levels. We'll leave it as read. So let's see what we just did. Yeah, we're all set. All right, so everyone can access it on a read-only basis. Mary can help me with the content, and I'm the owner of the site. And this was yet another reason why we created a communication site, because remember, with the team site, we had this Microsoft 365 group membership, and it was add, edit, delete. So it's not what we wanted, all right? That was yet another reason why we created a communication site, because the whole objective here is one-way communication. So at this point, we pretty much completed the basic setup of the Intranet SharePoint site. We obviously created the site. We added all the proper web parts. We changed the layout, added a logo, set up a bit of branding. What I would like to do now is show you a few additional advanced, a little bit more advanced steps. They will require an assistance from your IT team. But these are the kind of, in my opinion, important steps that also need to occur when you create an enterprise-wide, a company-wide intranet portal. So the first thing I would like to show you is this. Right here on this existing intranet site that I have. If you look up top, I have this drop-down navigation. Now, what this is actually called hub navigation. Remember on our site that we created, we have this navigation, but this navigation is what's called site navigation. This is the navigation that allows you to access content on this particular site. However, in real world, right, for the real internet you're going to build, it's very likely that you're going to have many different sites. And that's the whole purpose of the intranet, right? It's not just the home site that we built, it's also the other, department sites and, various, team sites that you have within your organization. And the whole idea behind this hub navigation is that if you notice, I now clicked on HR site, so I'm physically on a very different SharePoint site right now, but my navigation stays the same. Moreover, the branding stays the same. But once again, the whole idea here is that with one click, as you have all these different sites within your environment, with one click, users can easily access all of those different sites. So if I am on the accounting site, I can easily go back to the home page and so on. So once again, this functionality is called Hub Navigation. And what I'm going to do right now is briefly show you how it is set up. Now, there is actually a lot involved when you set up hub navigation, and I will probably record a separate video later on this topic. But for now, I just want to give you enough information so you understand what you need to do and your IT team needs to do. So what we need to do, we need to essentially enable this main intranet site and register it as a hub. When you register a site as a hub, essentially it becomes like the parent site that will maintain the branding, all right, and that will maintain that global navigation. So let me show you how to do that. Now, once again, for this, you do need to have access to the SharePoint Admin Center. So it's probably someone within IT department who will be able to help you out with that. And you navigate to the SharePoint Admin Center. Actually, where we are right now is a global Microsoft 365 Admin Center. We are going to click on SharePoint Admin Center. This is where essentially you get to see the list of all the sites that exist in your environment. And let's now find the site that we have. I believe we changed the name to Intranet, right? So here it is, right here. This is the site that we created. And what we need to do, we need to register the site as the hub. So you click here under the hub navigation, hub dropdown, register it as the hub. And you give it a name. So we'll just say, it could be anything you want it to be. All right, just give it a name, corporate intranet. And let's see what just happened. So I'm going to go back to our site and I'm going to click the refresh button and you're going to see what has happened as a result, just like that. So look what happened. Essentially, it got this extra level over here, and this is called Hub Navigation. So this is where you will add the links to other sites. Now, I'm probably not going to proceed any further with this, and the reason is because there is a bit more. It's a bit more involved step. There is much more to show you and demonstrate here. And this is something I plan to do in one of the future videos. There is a lot to learn about the way hub sites work within SharePoint. But I did want to explain to you that essentially the bottom line is that this intranet site that you created, this is not going to be the only site within the intranet. You might want to add and connect the other sites as well. And that's essentially what Hub Navigation will allow you to do. The only thing I want to show you from our site perspective is that you see what will potentially happen is that as you build your Hub Navigation, it will appear right on top. And it's going to be very confusing if you also have your site navigation. So what I usually like to do is we're going to eliminate this navigation. So it's not going to be confusing to our end users, which links to follow. So let me show you how to do that. That's yet another function available to you as the owner of the site. You click on the gear icon, change the look. And it's the same area where we changed the header and the logo and the theme. And you are going to essentially click on navigation. And we're going to hide it just like that. So if you notice, it disappeared on us. And yeah, it's much cleaner now. So this way we only have essentially the idea is that you will only have this hub navigation with links to the respective department sites and team sites that you have within your intranet portal. One other step that I also like to do when I build intranet portals for my clients is set up and configure Viva connections. Let me explain to you what this is all about. So let's say you built your intranet, you made it pretty, you maybe built out your hub navigation, added all these other sites to it. The reality is that a majority of your users probably, right, majority of your employees are probably in Teams application whole day long, right? They probably are in Teams, chatting with their colleagues and scheduling meetings and accessing the documents. What Viva Connections is all about, it's a feature that allows us to embed the entire intranet portal, the entire intranet site into Microsoft Teams. Let me show you how that works. So I'm going to go to my Teams application, and of course I have all these different teams that and channels I'm part of. And on the left-hand side, you're going to see this icon, and you click on it. And look what happens. It actually embeds the entire intranet site into Microsoft Teams application. And this is amazing from the user adoption standpoint. So as you build your intranet, right, your users don't need to maybe navigate to a different browser and open up a new window and go to that specific URL. Once they're in Teams, they click on this button, and here we go. They see the intranet and intranet navigation right within the Microsoft Teams application. Now, I'm not really going to to show you all the steps on how to set it up, because this is yet one of this other things that requires your IT team to be involved. There is actually a bit of setup and PowerShell that needs to be used to set up Viva connections. And there is a bit of setup that needs to occur in the SharePoint Admin Center and the Teams Admin Center. If you go to my blog, and yeah, I'm on my main blog page, and if you type in Viva Connections, I actually, created a pretty detailed article some time ago on how to set it up. So there are quite a few steps involved, and I detail them all here. And you do need to run a bit of PowerShell as well to make it happen. But once again, this is a task for your IT team. But once they configure it, once it's all said and done, you will end up with this super amazing experience, essentially one-stop shop for collaboration as well as the communication hub all in one place. So before I end this video, I also wanted to mention that if you need any assistance with intranet portals, document management systems within SharePoint, any training for your staff, I will be happy to help. Um, just to show you the intranet portal that I showed you today, I actually help my clients build one, and you can go to my website and see the pricing and see the timelines. Once again, everything I do in SharePoint is out of the box, and I help, essentially when I build internet portals, I have help my clients with customizing, their main homepage, building out the other department sites, building out the navigation, creating the custom theme, setting up Viva connections. So definitely will be happy to help. I also provide several other services that might be of interest to you. If you just need occasional assistance on SharePoint, I do offer hourly consulting. So this is great if you don't need me to configure anything, but maybe you just need me for an hour or so for a Q&A session. So definitely will be happy to help. I do assist my clients with document management and governance, retention and records management. I'm also pretty big on training, and I offer both on-demand and live training options. So feel free to consider both. But yeah, in my opinion, training is probably the greatest return on investment, and for your SharePoint implementation. So if you do need training on SharePoint and Teams and maybe a few other applications, I will be happy to help. I actually offer different levels of training. I offer training for beginners, those who are new to SharePoint. I offer training for site owners where I explain everything about the different types of sites and how permissions work and how to design a page. So once again, if you need any assistance with SharePoint, I will be happy to help. But for now, just wanted to thank you for watching this tutorial. Hopefully you found it informative. As always, happy to see you on my blog, sharepointmaven.com, as well as my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.